Hey! Come here!
You'll never believe this, sir. We have to visit a brewery. Trevor Radford, managing director of Radford & Sons. One of the brewers found him at the bottom of a vat.
Just like poor old Clarence.
Sounds like a pretty good way to go.
Roger, 17, stand by.
Chief Inspector, I'm Dr. Halliday.
Your first case, Doctor?
Yes. They've thrown me in at the deep end, like the deceased.
So he didn't drown?
It's too early to say. There's a depressed fracture front left of skull with a circular point of impact. Some heavy blunt instrument, perhaps.
Time?
That's a difficult one. They say the temperature in there is 55 degrees. That would have speeded things up a bit.
Approximately.
Well, the body's cold, so it must have been at least 8 hours ago. Probably nearer 10, assuming he was pushed in immediately after he was hit on the head.
Around 10 yesterday evening. What would he have been doing here at that time of night?
I think I can help you there, Inspector. Norman Weeks, Marketing Director.
Yes, Mr. Weeks.
Trevor had been burning the midnight oil quite a lot lately, ever since farmers announced their offer.
Farmers? Of Banbury?
They're trying to take us over. Trevor was preparing what he called a defense document to be circulated to the shareholders.
Well, that would explain why he was on the premises. It doesn't explain what he was doing in here.
No.
Where's his office?
Some petty thief, probably. Wandered into the yard, found the door open.
Anything missing?
Gail! Anything missing?
No, I don't think so.
This is Gail, our secretary. She was the last person to see Trevor alive.
Except for the murderer.
Well, yes, naturally.
You say he was preparing a defense document. Where is it?
Tell me where everything is here.
Could be in the safe, but I don't have the keys.
And private things in the other drawer.
1841. The brewery's been in the Radford family all that time? Nearly 150 years. No wonder they don't want to sell. What time did you leave last night?
Just after 6. I offered to stay on, but Mr. Radford said he didn't need me.
Excuse me, sir.
Who's Mr. John Wheatley?
The company surveyor.
Why would Mr. Radford be writing a letter to him dated 10th of June, 1986?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Seems to have made a copy.
I suppose that could be in the safe, too.
How many work here?
10 in the brewing area, about 50 in the other departments.
I want every employee interviewed, Lewis. Then get a search organized. Tell the lads they're looking for a heavy, blunt instrument.
Right, sir.
Take this back to the office, get them to make a transcript. Now, what do we know about the late Mr. Radford? Married? Mrs. Radford, please.
She's not up yet.
Wake her, will you? It's important.
You better come in. Shut the door behind you. Mrs. Radford!
Yes, I can hear you.
There's a policeman to see you.
You're a policeman?
Yes.
If it's about that parking ticket, I paid it yesterday.
It's not about a parking ticket.
Someone's dead.
Yes.
Who is it? Isabel? Charles?
I'm afraid it's your husband.
Oh, my God.
I wondered if you'd make us both some coffee. Please. Mrs. Radford's just had a very nasty shock.
All right.
I'll take mine black, no sugar.
Car accident.
No. He was murdered.
Murdered?
Last night, at the brewery.
Brewery?
Look, Mrs. Radford, there are a few questions I have to ask, but I can come back.
I went to bed early, you see. I took a sleeping pill.
Mrs. Radford?
All the time I was asleep. He was... Well, I never thought to look. I just assumed he'd come and gone again.
I don't think you ought to be alone. Is there anyone you'd like me to call?
How was he?
He was, hit on the head and pushed into a vat.
Stephen. Could you call Stephen? My brother-in-law.
Number?
It's in the book by the phone. Under Radford Future Tech. Ask him to tell his parents. I'll meet him there in an hour.
Would you like me to drive you?
Who else knew Mr. Radford was working late last night?
Oh, everyone. I mean, we all knew about Farmer's offer and about the governor trying to fight it off.
You were all behind him?
Of course. We produce some of the finest real ale in the country.
So everyone's against Farmer's bid, right?
Well, everyone at the brewery.
what about the family?
Oh, well, family. There's no accounting for them, is there? Take the brother for one, Mr. Stephen. He and Mr. Trevor never did see eye to eye. Always arguing about this and that. Well, only last week. Well, we all heard him. Mr. Trevor saying as how he needed more time to pull the brewery round. And Mr. Stephen, don't think he thought Mr. Trevor could organise a proverbial, even in his own brewery.
All right, then where does your mate live?
Morse?
Go ahead, Alpha Sierra 3.
It's Lewis, sir. Where are you?
I'm driving Mrs. Radford to her in-laws.
There's something you should know. According to one of the employees, Radford had a big bust-up with his brother last week.
Not now, Lewis. I told you, I'm with Mrs. Radford.
Oh, right, sir.
I'll call you back.
What's he suggesting?
Mrs. Trevor, on behalf of the staff, may I say how sorry I am.
Thank you, Jessup.
They're waiting for you.
There's a policeman outside. Show him where to go, will you?
It's been in trouble ever since Trevor Radford took over. Steve wants to sell it. That's what the bust-up was about.
Any sign of the murder weapon?
Nothing yet.
I'll tell him to keep looking. I'll meet you at the pub later.
May I have your name, sir?
Morse.
Rank?
That's important, is it?
I have to announce you, sir.
Chief Inspector.
Please come in. This way, sir. Chief Inspector Morse, madam.
Ah, the Good Samaritan.
Not entirely. I was coming anyway.
You're in charge of the investigations, Inspector.
Yes.
Come over here. I'm Isabel Radford. This is my husband and my son, Stephen.
I didn't catch the name.
Morse.
Oh.
You'll have to speak up. He's rather deaf.
And, what's he doing here?
He's a policeman. He's come to ask some questions. Well, you're looming, Inspector. Do sit down. I can't bear people looming at me. Helen, come and sit next to me. Chin up, dear. We must all be very brave. Well?
Who stands to benefit from your son's death?
Benefit? From his will, you mean?
Not necessarily. I was thinking of the brewery. Who'll take over as managing director?
What? What?
The brewery, Mr. Radford. Who'll be the new manager?
That is yet to be decided by the board.
No, dear. It'll be Farmer's decision.
If the deal goes through.
It will.
You're not being much help, Mother. Mr. Morse wants to know who'd have been next in line if Farmers hadn't intervened.
I've no idea. Norman Weeks, I suppose.
Or, Victor Priest.
Who?
Where were you last night, Mr. Priest?
At home, laying a new trap for the Flying Scotsman.
What?
You must have heard of the Flying Scotsman. It's a steam locomotive. Or was, before they brought in the hideous new diesel things.
This track, how long did it take?
3 or 4 hours. I kept changing my mind, you see. I couldn't decide whether to take the Northallerton to Newcastle section along the coast through West Hartlepool and Sunderland, or stick to the inland route through Bishop Auckland and Durham.
So you were at home the whole evening? Anybody corroborate that?
Yes, my mother.
And the main local stories at 11 o'clock. Police are baffled by the death of Trevor Radford, managing director of Radford's Brewery, whose body was found in one of the fermenting vats early this morning. According to the Thames Valley CID, Mr. Radford was working late last night and appears to have been attacked as he left his office.
Oh, blast! Oh. This offer for the brewery, I understand it caused some disagreement in the family.
Who told you that?
Is it true?
Yes. We did disagree about it. We still do. But I fail to see what bearing that has on my son's death.
I'm just trying to establish a motive, Mrs. Radford.
My dear Inspector, I don't know what circles you move in, but in this family, we're not in the habit of murdering each other every time we have a disagreement.
They know about your row with Trevor, Stephen. Someone at the brewery told them.
So you think I may have killed my brother, do you? Because we had a row.
Would you mind telling me where you were last night? Around 10 o'clock.
I was driving back from Bristol.
Alone?
Yes.
And what were you doing in Bristol?
Oh, really? This is intolerable.
I don't mind, Mother. I had a meeting with Tremolo Computers. My company makes their printed circuit boards.
What time did your meeting end?
About 7. I stopped off to have something to eat.
Where?
Some Italian place. I can't remember the name.
Paid by credit card, did you?
No. It came to under £20, so I paid cash.
What time did you arrive home?
That's enough, Morse. We've been very patient. But if all you're going to do is stand there and virtually accuse poor Stephen of Trevor's murder, then none of us has anything further to say. The Chief Inspector's leaving, Jessup. Show him out, will you?
Thought it might be you.
Well, George, why is that?
Oh, you know, murder inquiry, beer involved. I'll give it to Morse, I thought.
Really? Make beer as well, do you?
Good old Morse. Always the Puritan.
Purist, George. Never one to make fine distinctions, were you?
We've both been out in the real world a long time. Knocks the corners off.
Yes, well, makes them easier to cut, I suppose. Getting the grand tour, am I?
Hello, Farmers Brewery International. How may I help you? All right, but he's not in the office at the moment.
It's a long way from Sparta, George. Sorry? The little club we ran at Oxford. Or you ran, I should say. Yes, the Society for the Promotion of Traditional Real Ale. I never worked out what the first A stood for.
Boys' games, Morse. It's a competitive world out there.
So I keep hearing. If you get Radford's,